Hi, I'm Corey, and I have too many tapes. Jim Henson saved the world, but he also ruined it. He made us see the joy and the possibility in the art form that is puppeteering, but he also made people think that puppets were easy, effortless. And those same people who thought that seemingly all worked in children's ministry. I'm no stranger to bad puppets in Christian media. It's a fertile field, the path of least resistance. There's a certain lack of ambition in most of these productions, but this one, ooh, it reeks of effort. It's practically cinematic. It's shot on film even, but it's also so low rent, so baffling, so rinky-dink that it barely registers as a narrative. It traps you in this liminal space between boredom and engagement. It has all the hallmarks of a film: characters, stakes, visual storytelling, everything. But it's inert, weirdly dead, like a puppet without a hand in it. On this episode of Too Many Tapes, we're going back to 1984, back to that brief overlap of film and video, back to a time when Southern Baptist churches had almost limitless funding, a time when a youth pastor with a solid pitch could get the kind of financing that would allow for helicopter shots in his 75-minute evangelical puppet opus. We go back to the 80s looking for something unknowable, something enlightening, something inexplicably purple. Maybe it's the secret to complete joy. More than likely, it's just another bad puppet movie. I give you In Search of Dudley Dumpling. We start off strong with a logo that makes me want to drop everything and go to Epcot. In fact, that was weird, but refreshing. Anyway, we immediately get what all the kids in 1984 were craving: a behind-the-scenes look at a bunch of puppets running a low-rent AM radio station. We're doing some kind of highbrow NPR-adjacent content here with a combination of grating synthesizer covers of classical music alongside our puppet presenter delivering a poem about sweat socks.
An ode to sweat socks. When I bought you, you looked brand new, so clean, so bright. You were whiter than white. But as I wore you, my feet, how they sweat, giving off an odor I'll never forget. Now, when I wash you, you look clean and new. But after soccer with the boys, I won't stand the PU.
Okay, so right off the bat, this is bizarre. It's funny, maybe, but not in the way it's intended to be, and not really in a way that seems tailored to kids. Maybe the writers here were following their hearts, thinking whatever's funny to them will be universally funny. Worked for the Muppets, I guess.
No wonder no one listens to our radio station.
Let's give her a little more volume.
Whoops. Anyway, we get thrown into a production meeting, and I have to say, these puppets are dreadful. Not on the total nightmare end of the spectrum, though. They're just so lazy and unimaginative. They're all just regular people. There's no reason for any of these characters to be puppets except to appeal to kids.
I call you creep. I call you chicken lips.
Thanks, Elvira. That really made my day.
But at least we're firmly established in our world here. Certainly nothing could come by and completely upend the order of this universe.
Okay, that's enough. I don't know why I didn't hire real people to begin with.
A little prejudiced, aren't you, Floyd? I mean, we puppets work pretty hard.
Oh, good lord, there are humans in this. Okay, and also the concept of puppet racism. Oh, no. There's just no way we're going to appropriately address that within the confines of this movie, is there?
Elvira.
Yes?
Loosen up.
And just good old-fashioned misogyny. Neat and also cool. So obviously Floyd here is a bit of a scumbag. His shoestring operation is barely surviving on cheap puppet labor and bad programming. But he has an ace up his sleeve, one final splashy event that could save the station. And no, it's not a contest to see who can correctly guess the number of molecules in Leonard Nimoy's butt. Buying a first-class one-way ticket to Albuquerque is pricey, it's a small airport. No, you see, Floyd received a letter to the station. Apparently a small child named Dudley has figured out the secret to complete joy. So they want to get Dudley on the air and give him his own show where he can talk about his big secret. Guessing that the secret is Jesus? Going out on a limb there, spoilers maybe. Anyway, the way they're going to give this child a show is by, naturally, kidnapping him and holding him hostage at the station while they build up anticipation for the big interview. Standard PR practice. It's the only way to guarantee exclusivity. Floyd sends his puppet crew out to get some on-the-street interviews with people who may know Dudley Dumpling. They leave the station, and we get a hand-drawn credit sequence that looks like the end credits of Avengers Endgame. And much like Avengers Endgame, this thing has a budget. Or at least the biggest budget I've seen one of these things have since, I don't know, Salty's Salvation Celebration? They can afford a cool vintage car, helicopter shots, actual motion picture film, the works. We even get one of my favorite Muppet-adjacent tropes. Puppets driving cars. I can't explain it. There's just something so right about seeing a puppet behind the wheel of an automobile. We get right into a series of interviews as our intrepid puppet team tries to track down Dudley. They track his friends down to the park, and it seems like nobody likes the kid. Meeting Dudley by proxy through flashbacks and described stories, we find that he's a pariah at school, he's awkward and sad, and the kids make fun of him because of his weight. Speaking from experience, that does not sound like a kid who knows the secret to complete joy. Mostly sounds like a kid who's going to stay in his room playing video games. Doesn't get better, Dudley. Hope you're funny. The scene transitions here are so incredibly distracting, by the way. It seems like any time they go to a new location, they have to first dip to this bright, obnoxious magenta. And while I'm at it, the puppeteering in this film is so lifeless. It's floaty, stiff, and unconvincing. None of these performers are breathing any personality into the physicality of the characters, and their lack of polish is the anchor that weighs this whole thing down. It's also first thought. Even the voices seem lazy here.
Barney, you got the recorder?
Yep.
Elvira, you got the questions?
Yes. I just don't know how a person of my stature could stoop so low.
As much as you weigh, Elvira, I'm surprised you can stoop at all.
Dudley's best friend recounts secondhand a conversation that Dudley had with his grandfather about why he's such a dud. The grandpa launches into a miniature sermon, complete with your standard 80s inspirational Casio music.
Your heart is the real you, the part of you that thinks and loves, and that will live forever.
We're 10 minutes in and they're already laying it on thick. I joked earlier that the secret to complete joy was probably Jesus, but there's no denying it now. There's not going to be any novel answer here, just Mr. Jesus and all his good works. Dudley is ready to give his life to the Lord, but he has some concerns.
Can he make people like me?
Hard to say.
I knew it.
Let's not start asking for miracles right out of the gate, Duds. I do love how cynical he is, though. 12 years old and the world has already closed off to him. No hope, no escape. His options were Jesus or smoking clove cigarettes in the boys' bathroom while listening to The Cure on a Walkman that he stole, and he picked Jesus. Dudley's grandpa really gives Dudley the hard sell here, and it works. He tells Dudley how difficult the road will be, and Dudley gives in and pledges his life to the Lord. It's only a 3-minute scene, but this close to the beginning of the film, it feels like a bad omen for how much like homework this is gonna feel. Back to the radio puppets, and Elvira, the host/interviewer, is asking questions about this Jesus character. She's never heard of him, and maybe that makes sense. How different is puppet culture from human culture in this society?
Well, what about this Jesus? I've never heard of him. Is he famous?
She's never heard of him?
Elvira is different. All she pays attention to is classical music and Elvira Dudendorf.
Does he live around here? What's he do for a living?
Well, I think Dudley's grandfather said he's a carpenter.
A carpenter. Oh, I love it.
Now that I think about it, do puppets have souls? Can they be saved? A bunch of existential puppet concerns here I don't even want to think about. Maybe I should stop taking these sorts of things at face value. Or maybe these people should think about the horrifying worlds they're creating before they start rolling the camera. What I do love about this movie, though, is that the cast and crew seem to understand the effect of comedic violence and slapstick, but not the mechanism by which it becomes funny.
Quick, Barney, Charlie, let's get over to Dudley's house. I tell you, this is better than my poem about sweat socks.
Anything would be better.
That's wrong, Elvira. You shouldn't hit us with your purse.
Then don't aggravate me.
Some of this is the mirage of production value. Shooting something like this on film makes you perk up a bit, pay more attention. There has to be some intentionality here, right? Right? They meet up with Dudley's grandpa, who has also heard Elvira's sweat sock poem. If their ratings are so low, how has everybody heard this poem already? But apparently Dudley has disappeared. This causes Elvira to faint, naturally, and gives the opportunity for Charlie to explain their predicament. In turn, the grandpa explains Dudley's sad sack home life. His siblings step all over him, his parents have no time for him, and he's essentially on his own in life.
Dudley, do you have to cry like that? You're giving me a headache.
And no ice cream. Your phys ed teacher says when you exercise, all you do is huff and puff. Remember, your body is the temple of God. Emily will make sure you're in bed by 9 o'clock. See you tomorrow.
See ya tomorrow.
What happened to you?
Piss.
It's not funny.
Don't go away mad, Dudley.
Yeah, just go away.
Dudley's got a Muppet poster in his room. You can't do that, guys. Don't reference the better thing inside your worst thing. It just makes me want to stop watching your thing and go watch the better thing. Also, again with the uncomfortable questions that arise from references like that, do these puppets exist in the world in which the Muppet Show takes place? Are they Muppets by association? I'm so confused. And another thing, why is Dudley purple? His parents and sisters are all kind of peachy, his grandparents are peachy, Dudley, however, is purple. Too many questions, not enough answers. After some more hemming and hawing, we go to the church to try to track Dudley down, and we're met with a pastor that's giving Crispin Glover meets Anthony Michael Hall, a boy in a three-piece suit pretending to be a pastor. He recounts his most recent meeting with Dudley.
Amen. Oh, hi, Pastor.
You come here to pray often?
Gotta check that one off the old pickup line list, Pastor Three Kids in a Trench Coat. The pastor assuages Dudley's doubts about his faith and reads him some Bible verses. He offers our intrepid news crew a Bible, which reminds them that they saw a Bible in the park, so they leave yet again. But just as we're all about to fall asleep, Floyd, the racist radio station owner, shows back up to go on a full-on bigoted tirade to his puppet secretary about all of the ways puppets are inferior to people.
Puppets have styrofoam noses and Play-Doh for brains. And what did I get? No ratings, low revenue, and tiny little footprints all over the water cooler. For I have had it. Gladys, read that back.
Puppets have styrofoam noses and Play-Doh for brains.
I hope you don't take this personally, Gladys. I do care for you very much.
Like, I get that this is being used as a shortcut to say that Floyd is a cruel and bad person, but his racism isn't really handled in a way that feels responsible or even, considered in any sort of meaningful way. So instead they just grab that third rail and hold on to it while it electrocutes them.
It's Floyd. Nice to hear your sweet voice, Floyd.
Listen to me, you Sesame Street reject.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop referencing the better things, and someone please explain the politics of this world to me. Obviously, puppets are second-class citizens here, but what are the implications of that? Is this a Roger Rabbit / Happy Time Murders situation? This is a more interesting movie. Who cares about Dudley? With their jobs now explicitly threatened, the news crew peruses Dudley's Bible and talks to some kids who bullied Dudley. This leads to the one amazing idea this movie has. Friends, I present to you now, unedited and in its entirety, Old Kid.
You four-eyed wimp.
You four-eyed wimp.
Tom, aren't you a little old to still be in elementary school?
What can I say, Jelly Belly? So I flunked recess. Big deal.
What are you gonna do?
You're the only kid I know that eats 4 bagged lunches a day.
I don't eat that much.
Sure, Chubbs. Besides, we don't like the way you waddle, right, boys?
Right, boss.
Always huffing and puffing in PE class. You hockey puck. Take his glasses, boys.
I can't see.
Oh, step back, guys. This is gonna be fun. You creep. Come on, guys, let's get out of here.
Here's your glasses. He's mean, Dudley. Why do you hang around with him? 'Cause if I didn't, I'd be picked on just like you.
Come on, Kirk, move it.
It's brilliant. So bizarre, so nonsensical, so genuinely oddly funny. In a world as topsy-turvy and silly as Dudley Dumpling, it only makes sense to take on these random flights of fancy, and the movie unfortunately doesn't take advantage of that opportunity nearly enough. It's the movie's problem in a nutshell. It wants to be a goofy, slapstick, Muppet-style adventure, but it also wants to be a devout morality play that'll convince people to convert to Christianity. There are ways to integrate those two ideas, but they need a binding agent. It's like making a vinaigrette. You can't just shake the oil and vinegar together. You need something to emulsify it, or else you're just going to get little droplets of oil floating around in some vinegar. They inevitably separate. Sometimes it's catchy songs. Other times it's talking vegetables. Actually, it's weird that this isn't even a musical. It can't rip off the Muppets right.
Kurt's not the only one who hurt Dudley's feelings.
Ah!
A crew that plays together stays together. As you were saying.
I picked on him too.
This thing is chatty. A Russian nesting doll of conversations, flashbacks, conversations inside flashbacks, and cutaways. These characters talk, and have absolutely nothing interesting to say. And I'm only, not even halfway through. Sometimes I have to power through these things in order to save what's left of my precious sanity, so here goes. Dudley passes a friend/love note in class and gets ridiculed by the class and the teacher.
I wish I were dead.
He tells the story of Zacchaeus to some kids while sitting in a tree, bringing the number of times I've seen the Zacchaeus story used on too many tapes to 2, if you remember my last Knock Knock Show video. And we cut to our radio protagonists reading the Bible and marveling at its contents. You see, they were fighting before, and the Bible was so good it made them stop fighting. Because Bible. Cool. Cool Bible. Yay Bible. Read Bible. For absolutely no reason, Dudley Dumpling calls into the radio station and Floyd tries to trace the call. This is, of course, before he's even met our heroes, making their entire story and journey a pointless waste of time. He's also calling from his house, and it seems like they should have already checked there. Dudley tries to minister to his dog.
Fleeman, do you know the best person who ever lived?
Ooh, Martin Luther King. John Carpenter. Whoever invented the crunchy ice you get at Sonic.
Jesus. Gramps said he made me special.
That was gonna be my 4th one. But I don't think dogs have souls, Dudley. They don't go to heaven, no matter what that Don Bluth movie tells you. What you're doing is, at best, a waste of time. And at worst, possibly blasphemous. Speaking of which, is that a dog or a puppet dog? Is there a whole secondary class of puppet animal in this world? How do dogs feel about puppet dogs? So confused. Him and his grandpa pray, which looks a lot like they're trying to not see another person in the bathroom, or they're shielding their eyes from a nuclear blast, and Dudley goes off, somewhere. The radio people show up to his house and interview his dog because the dog has directly heard this whole secret to complete joy thing. It goes about as well as you'd expect.
3, 2, 1. What was that?
It's either some kind of interference or this guy's got heartburn.
We're doomed.
Floyd fires them, obviously. We cut away to an inexplicable shot where someone off-screen lowers a plush butterfly onto Dudley's head, and our intrepid ex-news reporters wind up at the church again, where they meet the world's flyest Sunday school teacher. Seriously, his suit game is on point. He reveals even more of Dudley's alarming antisocial behavior, fueled by total familial neglect, and we get launched into the overlong story of Dudley's baptism. They don't actually dunk a puppet on camera, which I consider an act of cowardice. This movie has so much shoe leather. The least it can do is reward my patience with a wet puppet. Instead, we get a church service and the after-church new member potluck. Truly riveting stuff. Barney seems jazzed. I think he just needed a good meal. Give this man all of your cookies.
Say, where do you work?
I don't. Tomorrow I'll be on unemployment. That's why I'm eating all these cookies.
Well, here, take mine. They're really God's, you know. And remember, God loves you.
Yeah, I just love his cookies.
The news crew presents their on-the-street interviews to Floyd, even though he fired them, and he promises to give their jobs back if they can find Dudley, bring him there, and save the station. They try a few places, we get some nice shots of puppets driving cars that put me in my happy place.
How's God spend the money I give him?
Well, he pays for all his workers, the missionaries.
And finally, we track Dudley to a creepy treehouse in the middle of the woods, like it's the last act of the Book of Henry and we're about to kill Hank from Breaking Bad with a sniper rifle to save the little girl from Dance Moms. That was a reference for like 6 people. We learned that it was the grandpa who sent the letter to the station, duh, and that Floyd actually works for a very powerful puppet who was pulling the plug on the radio station. Comeuppance, I guess. The puppets lock themselves in the broadcast booth, and Dudley Dumpling finally explains his secret to complete joy!
Hi, my name is Dudley Dumpling. I'm not a singer or an entertainer, just a kid. My gramps sent a letter to this station telling them I found the secret to complete joy. But what I have to say really isn't a secret. A secret is something you keep to yourself, and I can't keep it to myself any longer. I want the whole world to know that God loved all of us kids and grown-ups so much to send his only son to die for us.
Yeah, it's Jesus. Are we surprised? Was there ever any doubt? A little bit anticlimactic. Floyd hears this secret and he wants to change his ways, and Barney gives us the hard sell on Jesus while everybody else vibes in the office behind him. The end. So, remember this. The next time you're wanting to make something religious with puppets, first, figure out your world. Don't leave us with weird, unanswerable questions and socio-political dynamics. The Muppets just exist. It's not weird that they exist, they just do and everybody's cool with it. Second, give your puppets something to do. They're the sore thumb in a world of normal, unsore thumbs. They can't just be anonymous employees working for a business. They, by their very nature, are in opposition to the given reality. So give them something to do that's unique, that shows their unique perspective, and how it eventually reinforces your own liturgical point if you must. More sweat socks, fewer man-on-the-street interviews. How does Jesus fit into the puppet life? And third, would it kill you to have a couple of musical numbers? Come on. Save the money you spent on helicopter shots and hire your choir director to come up with something at the very least. Do better, VHS tape that is older than I am. Do better. Thank you all for watching Too Many Tapes. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell icon to get updates for when I upload new videos. Did you actually watch this whole 75-minute movie? If so, why? Why did you do that? Let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to watch this whole 75-minute movie, check it out on my second channel, Too Many Tapes. Link should be somewhere above my head. If you want to help out a small YouTube creator, consider donating $1 or more a month to my Patreon. You can get fun updates from my dumb creative process and be the first to see new videos. If you donate $50 or more a month like Cammy, you are the secret to complete joy, and you get a movie recommendation. This month, go rewatch The Great Muppet Caper. Gets the taste of this thing out of your mouth, and you will believe that Charles Grodin has romantic designs on a felt pig. 10 out of 10, no notes. If you donate $20 or more a month, you're NATO Kitsch, and you get to have your name big in the credits, and you could probably untangle the complex sociopolitical situation of puppets in this world. For $10 or more a month, you're in the old kid club, because your names are in the credits, and they're looking pretty big for credit names. And for $5 a month, you're part of the Sweat Sock Poetry Club, and you get early access to my videos. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time on Too Many Tapes.
Shut up and sit down.
Who do you think the hottest girl in school is? The Epcot ball? Well, I like Melanie, and not just because she's pretty. I think she's really funny and all.